There are two main types of pension schemes: defined benefit and defined contribution. Sometimes they're called final salary or money purchase pensions, but they mean the same thing. The Sainsbury's pension scheme is a defined benefit scheme. In this type of scheme, you build up pension benefits for each year that you're an active member of the scheme. The amount of pension you build up depends on how long you're in the pension scheme and how much you earn. In a final salary defined benefit scheme, the amount of income you get is based on your final salary when you take your pension, which for most people would be higher at the end of their career. There's another type of defined benefit scheme called career average, or CARE, where your pension is based on your average earnings over time. You stop building up benefits either when you leave employment or if you leave the pension scheme for another reason. You become a deferred member. The pension you've earned up to that date is worked out. The pension promise means you'll get at least that much money when you retire. However, your deferred pension will usually be increased each year to give you some protection against inflation between when you leave and when you take your benefits. It's important to understand that while you're in a defined benefit pension, you don't have to worry about investments. Your pension won't be affected by what happens in the stock market. The pension scheme takes on the risk, not you. So, to summarize, in a defined benefit pension, you build up benefits which are relatively safe and predictable, so you can plan ahead with some certainty. Now let's look at the alternative. If you transfer your Sainsbury's pension out of the scheme, you exchange your guaranteed pension benefits for a sum of money called a transfer value, and you can move this money to a defined contribution pension. This type of pension scheme works in a very different way. In a defined contribution pension, you'd have an individual pot of money, your pension pot. You can manage how your pension pot is invested. The value of your investments could grow over time, but you could also lose a lot of money if the investments don't do well. The thing is, in a defined contribution pension, you can't accurately predict how much money you'll have in your pot ready to use for your retirement. This is one of the main risks of a defined contribution pension compared with a defined benefit pension. However, there are some advantages too. For example, if you have a defined contribution pension, you have more options on how you take the money, as income or cash or a combination. It's much more flexible. Plus, a defined contribution pension also gives you more ways to pass the money on when you die. So, if you're in a defined contribution pension scheme, you'll have personal control over your money and more flexibility. But you won't know if you'll do better or worse than staying in your defined benefit pension, and you might end up much worse off. It depends on investment returns and the choices you make at and throughout your retirement. Don't forget that you may also be able to take a partial transfer through the Sainsbury's pension scheme, where you move some of your benefits out but keep some secure pension in the scheme. You can ask your scheme administrator for more details about this option.